It's Transwars 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Star Wars, the Black Series from the Force Awakens line, Chewbacca, so yeah. So alright, so this is Wave 1. Wave 1 consists of all new figures except for this Chewbacca, which is a slight remold of an already released figure. You get a great artwork on the front of Chewbacca. This is a newly designed packaging for the Black Series. It's nothing crazy different, but it is slightly different design packaging. I do like it though with Chewbacca. As well as we do get Chewbacca's number, makes it easier to find him on the pegs, you know, when you're looking by. Although this guy is not too hard to find. Although Black Series is basically sold out everywhere at the moment of filming this. So yeah, and as you can see, you get a nice little picture of Chewbacca with a nice little read-up on the side there. So overall, I do like the Black Series packaging. It's very elegant but to the point. There's no images of the figures on it, which I think just makes it look a little bit nicer. So overall, I do like that a lot. Going over the actual figure, so I don't have the original Chewbacca. That came out in one of the last waves of the regular Black Series line. So yeah, so this one was one that I was going to pass on. You know, I wasn't planning to get it from the Force Awakens set, but on Amazon is where I bought all my Black Series figures from the Force Awakens, and they had a deal going. You spent $100, you got $25 off, and with my figures, I was cents off of $100. So then I just added Chewbacca to complete the set. So yeah, so I did end up picking him up. Overall, looking quite nice here. So the difference, I'm almost 100% sure there's only one new mold piece on this figure, and that's the head sculpt. The head sculpt is actually different. The original Chewbacca that came out had more of a yelling head sculpt, or doing his, you know, signature Chewbacca roar, while this one is just more of a, you know, his mouth is slightly open, but it's more of just a closed mouth. So yeah, overall this one is a little bit less interesting than the other because of that, but if you wanted more of a relaxed pose with him, then this one is definitely going to be better. And then the paint is just about identical, except I believe that the darker paint on the bottom here wasn't the case with the original one, so some of the shading might be a little bit different, but for the most part the paint is pretty similar, I believe. So yeah, overall the actual sculpt is really nice on the head there. Looks good. You know, it's sculpted really well. It looks like real fur, and it's done very nicely. As far as paint, I do like the mixture of the shades of brown, mixing in some dark browns or some grays to give it his fur, you know, a more worn look to it, and also mixing in a very light brown is really nice, and it helps make all the individual little pieces of hair stand out, and which is really great because, you know, you can really see it. The only thing I don't like about the paint is that the paint on the body, arms, and legs is great. You know, it's just it's a flat color, which it should be. Although on the head, it's done with a shiny type of paint. I don't know if that's to give him a sort of wet or natural type of look on the face, but it looks strange. You know, it's got the shiny head with all the regular just flat colors everywhere else, so I would have liked them to stick with this flat color throughout the head sculpt there, but unfortunately they didn't, which is a shame, but nothing too bad. Eyes are painted nicely, they look pretty straight, and you can see like the blue in them if you get the lights. Yeah, you can see the nice blue in the eyes. They're looking pretty good, you know, really natural. And then the belt is also really nice. The silver is quite bright, and then the bag is painted well with, you know, giving it some dirty look, so it really does look realistic and natural, which I do like a lot. It's obviously not attached, it is just hanging on him. It stays up pretty nice. His fur is sculpted slightly less on this side to allow the strap to kind of go there, so that's not as hindered. Articulation on him is so-so. You've got a head which barely does anything. You've got the slightest swivel there. I believe it's on a ball joint, but just because of the way the fur is sculpted, really just about no articulation. You've got a ball hinge shoulder with hinge swivel elbows. The hinge doesn't move very much at all, though, with all the fur and the bulkier arms. You've got a swivel wrist that also has a hinge that hinges in really far, which I'm surprised about and happy with. Then he's got a ball jointed upper torso up here as well as down here, which is really fascinating that there's, you know, two areas. That's interesting. So some of the fur is there's actually like a cut in the fur right there and there, so make sure that that's to the side of your figure so that it's not visible. There we go, that's much better. But yeah, so it is interesting that he does have two ball joints. Both of them are pretty hindered going forward and back, but they do swivel completely, which is nice. He's got ball jointed thighs, which are hindered going up, but they go out to the side, you know, more than you'd expect basically. Swivel at the thigh, hinge swivel knee, which works pretty well, really not hindered, and then hinge pivoting ankles, a little bit hindered there due to the large fur on the sides. But overall articulation on him is decent, you know, for his bulk and the unique fur style. He does have a decent amount of articulation. His accessories, of course, is his signature bow gun here. As you can see, looking quite nice. This little piece comes separated from it. Oh, there, it's focused on the gun. And unfortunately, it does look a little bit off. You know, I wish that this was more of a hard plastic so that they stayed more in line with each other, but they're slightly off, which is unfortunate, but nothing too bad. And then the gun itself is curved kind of like this way. Nothing, you know, major, but it is something to note. You can get it in his hand. Let me do that. He's got a tight grip. But there we go. He does like have a trigger finger, but you really can't, I mean, unless you just super forced it, you really can't get it into the actual trigger there. So even though he has the trigger finger, it doesn't actually work. Overall, he looks good holding it. He can't hold it with two hands without really bending his hands to hold it due to the, lacking of a good hinge on the elbow there. But he does hold it nicely. I'm just giving you a size comparison because this guy is quite tall, which is very nice. This out of the way. Alright, so here he is with another figure from this wave. We've got Finn, and then just in case you don't have the new figures yet, here's Darth Maul. Although Darth Maul's a bit of a shorter character, but we can throw in Boba Fett. So you can see. So there you go. Overall, he does tower over everybody else. So he's completely in scale, which is awesome. Really happy about that. And yeah, so overall, a pretty decent figure. You know, he's got a good size to him. Articulation is pretty all right compared to the other figures. Sculpt is very nice, and paint is pretty good as well. Overall, a good figure. If you have the original, there's no reason to get this one. And then I would only recommend this one if you're a big fan of this, or you do want to be a completist with the Force Awakens Black Series line. So yeah, overall, pretty decent figure, and happy I got him. You know, he's nice for the collection. Hope that they do an old version of Han Solo. You know, they've released the names of Wave 2, Wave 3, and Wave 4, but maybe in Wave 5 or 6 we will get an older version of Han Solo to go with this Chewbacca. That would be quite nice. So there you go. That's my review of the Star Wars The Black Series from The Force Awakens Chewbacca. Thanks so much for watching.